Okay, this video is going to be how to use the Vlookup function. So the Vlookup function is useful when you don't know, when you have a piece of information in one report and you don't have it in another report and you need Excel to go look it up someplace else. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So why do I need Vlookup? Well, I am a terrible person at being able to remember numbers and names together. So, for example, I can remember a phone number, but I can't remember whose name is by that. And this comes to rest right around here. You'll see in this report that Bob Humphrey sent out earlier today concerning what districts didn't execute on a particular promotion was. You'll notice that it doesn't have the district name in there. So I'm the type of person that I know that I need to go get some data over here, but I don't know who 875 is. So that's a problem to me. So what I need to do is I need to figure out a way that I can find out who District 875 is so I can call them up. So the way that I'm going to do that is through a VLOOKUP. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get my VLOOKUP ready on here. And the way that a VLOOKUP works is it will look for a particular piece of information and then it will set that information in fact, let me just kind of walk you through how to do it, and then you'll probably see I will need to explain less. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hole to put my information in. So when I look up this stuff, it needs to go someplace. So that place is going to be right after their district number. So I'm going to say, click on column C, and I'm going to insert a column in there. You'll notice that now there's a big white hole in here, and that's great because that's what I need. So the second thing I'm going to do is make sure that, okay, all of my information is in here, and yes, it is. Okay, so what I'm going to then do is I'm going to say, hey, what is my other report that I'm going to draw the information from? So what I want to know is district name, right? And what I have is district number. So if I look over at this other report here, hey, notice I have district number right here, and I have a district name. But on this report, I only have a district number, but I don't have a district name. So I'm going to use this report over here, which I've downloaded from Excel, to give me the information in this report really quickly with my filters already set up. So I've created the hole, and what I want this to do is look up this number. Now, in order for VLOOKUPs to work, you have to have the exact same type of information in one cell as in another. So what I want this to look up is the number 875, and I want it to look over here. The problem is when I click on this cell, this doesn't say just 875. It says district 0874. So what I need to do is I need to go in and I want to reformat this information so that it only has these numbers. Okay, great. That's really easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, create a hole. I'm going to insert something right here, and I'm going to select on the information that I have that I want to change, transform. I'm going to go over to data, and I am going to say text to columns. So what this does is it's going to take the text that's in here, and it's going to put it into two new columns. So here I click on this, and it's going to ask me what I want to do. What I want to click on is delimited, meaning that a certain character is going to take my text and then transform it to something. I'm going to say next. And what I want is it to be other, and that other is going to be 0. So that means that it's going to take my information, and you can see a data preview right here. Wherever there's a 0, it's going to put a line down here and put it into a new column. So it's going to separate my district from my number. And there I've got it, and it's separating it along the 0 line. And you'll notice, luckily for me, there's a bunch of zeros going down the front of my district numbers. So that's the only what I want to do. And I'm going to say next. And what it's going to do is go right along down here. Now, the one issue that I have with doing this is that if I do that, you'll notice that there are zeros also at the end of my number. Well, hey, you know what? That might not be the greatest use of the text to column because it's going to make two columns. A first column here and then a second column here. So that's not going to work, so I'm going to go back. And instead, I'm going to make it be a space. Anytime there's a space, this is going to take that and then automatically change that number. So here we go. I'm going to say next, and I'm going to say finish. And do I want to replace the contents of the destination cells? The destination cells are right here, so I'm okay with that. And all of a sudden, I have my numbers right here. Great. So I've separated district from district number. Then what I want to do is VLOOKUP this number over here. So I go back to my original report, and here I can say, okay, I want you to look up District 875. I want you to put the name that coordinates with District 875, which in this case would be Victoria Lau, into this cell. And the way I do that is by a command, and the command is the Vlookup command. So I'm going to say equals, that is telling Excel that I want to put in a command there. I'm going to type in the name of the command, which is Vlookup. I'm then going to open a parenthesis, and then it'll tell me, hey, what's my lookup value? What do you want me to look up? That's in bold, and you'll see it right here. And what I want Excel to look up is this district number. So I'm going to say Vlookup this. Oh, no, it's not there. I want it to look up in cell number B9. Okay, great. It's going to look up there. Then it's going to, oops, made a little bit of a mistake here. We're going to go back and do it again because you're having difficulty seeing the actual item here because of the way that this thing's laid out. So I'm going to broaden column B here. So again, I'm going to go and I'm going to say equals Vlookup, and I'm going to tell it to look up value B9. Then it's going to ask me to where it wants me to look this thing up. And I'm going to get, so after I put in lookup value, I'm going to hit comma, and it's going to say table array. That's asking, that's Excel asking me, where do you want me to look this thing up? I want to go back to my other report, right? And I want it to look up any value that falls in this table right here. So here I can see is 874. It's correlated with this name, so it's in here. So all of my numbers and my names go in there. So that's my table array. And what I want to make sure is then that this table array isn't going to move. So you can see that there are dollar signs in that number. That means that if ever I drag or mess around with this number, that those things are going to stay constant. And the way that I can put those dollar signs in there is by hitting F4. So here, I'm just going to make sure that there are dollar signs around my number, and you can see it up in here, that F4 changing that. So that means that my array is movable. This means that it's not. So I want it to be not movable. So I'm going to change it from that to that. It's not movable, not movable. And then I'm going to say, okay, great. Then it's going to ask me for a column index number. Well, column index number is, it said, hey, you've given me a table to look things up to, and the table has 2 columns. Where do you want me to pull the information from? Column 1, column 2, column 3 when I find the number. I want it to pull from column 2 because I have a 2-column table. So when it looks up 874, it'll pull up 1, 2, Chad Laundry. If I had set up an array that was 3 columns across and I typed in 3, it would return this number, 89.4. If I had an array that was 4 over and typed in 4, it would be 89.5. So there's my column number. Then what does it want me to do if it can't find the number? I want it to do nothing, to put in a 0. So I put in that. I close my parenthesis. I hit enter. And now look, District 875 is filled up as Victoria Lau. So great. That's only useful. This would be a very painful process if I had to repeatedly do that over and over again, but I don't have to do that. What I can do is I can copy this information. So I'm going to hit Control-C for copy. And I'm then going to scroll down to the bottom of my array. And the way I did that was by going over the column beside it, arrowing over once, holding down Control, and then hitting arrow down. It takes me to the bottom. I arrow over once, and then I hold down Control, Shift, up. It highlights all that. I let go of Control, still holding down Shift. Then I arrow down once. And now I've selected all the empty fields. I'll then hit Control-V. So I've copied something. I've selected an area, and now I'm pasting it into it, Control-V. And bang, you can see that all of my names have been VLOOKed up in that table array into there. So now great. If I can't remember my district number, that's not a problem. I can select on any individual district that I have, call it Robert Harris, and I can call them up and say, hey, store number, blah, 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 didn't receive any product. Or I can call up Kyron, say the same thing. Or I can call up Chad, which I already did, and he explained to me, what's going on in those couple of stores that he has right there. Or I can call up Robert Thompson, and he'll tell me that, hey, this is what he has going on in his stores for that stuff. So that's how you use a VLOOKUP.